Uh, okay. आली का लाईट? तिकडे जाऊया का? Okay, good morning. So let me start. Please give me feedback that I'm audible, visible, everything is proper.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's
Yes,
continue then. Let me pin my,
sir.
I should see how am I looking here. Okay. So you can stop me. I will try to talk in mostly in English because मेरी हिंदी उतनी अच्छी नहीं है और मराठी मेरी गाँव वाली है. मतलब मेरी मराठी का टोन गाँव वाला है, मराठी गाँव वाली नहीं. So let us continue with that as we have started yesterday our unit number 1, and in that what we have understood is stresses, right? We have understood there are two types of stresses usually. Only the sources of stresses, so you should not get confused with the type of stresses and sources of stresses. Okay. So you should not get confused with the sources of stresses. Sources of stresses means forces. What type of forces are coming? Maybe uh, uh, axial, shear, torsion, etc. So these are the sources. But basically, stresses are of two types. One is direct or normal. In that, again, direct can be classified as tensile and compressive, and next one is shear stress, right? So let us understand similarly the strains related to that. Okay, strains related to that. But before we go to that part, I guess let me take one small example uh, of so that we can understand how these shear stresses work and how what do you call normal stresses work. So that will help you to understand. Let me stop this sharing and share the whiteboard so that we can take one example out of to solve that. Okay, so I hope whiteboard is visible and we will take one example. Suppose let us assume you can use your notebook also to write. Suppose there is a one punching rod or something like that. Okay, and it is connected with some collar here. Okay, it is connected with some collar here. Okay, and then this is acting something like this here. Okay, and some p amount of force is applied here. Okay, so let me take some other color. म्हणजे एक there is a nut and bolt type of arrangement is there, and that nut is resting here. Okay, so how much shear will be acting? So I have taken cross section, you can understand, and if we give some dimensions here or and values, so you'll understand. This is one case, and then there is another case. Same rod is there, and directly it is touching to the surface. Bottom here, it is bottom. Okay, and here then P amount of force is applied. So let us label this P, let's say 100 kilonewton. Same load we are applying, 100 kilonewton. And we are trying this side case. I should have done the other way around, but don't worry. So normal stress example I'm trying to explain, and this one is example of shear stress. Okay, how shear stress comes and how normal stress comes. Now in both the cases, what is formula? Tau is equal to force upon here what type of area? Tangential area. You have to remember what type of area? Tangential area. And in this case, sigma is equal to force upon normal area, or you can say cross sectional area. Cross sectional area. These are the formula. Now let us give this height of this screw something like maybe centimeter. We will take, let's say 3 centimeter, right? And then we will consider diameter of this as a, let's say 10 centimeter. Okay. Then how to calculate stresses? Okay, so first of all, simple one we will take. When there is a diameter given of how much diameter? 10 centimeter. In both cases, diameter is 10 centimeter. Okay, then area, cross sectional area in this case will be how much? Area of the circle. Area of the circle. Why cross sectional area becomes area of the circle? Because the circular part of that rod is touching to the surface, and that is exerting the area. So what will be the stress? 100 kilonewton. I will convert it into Newton. 100 into 10 raised to 3 divided by cross sectional area will be pi d square by 4. Pi d square. D is how much? 10 centimeter. So you can convert it into mm if you want. Usually we take Newton per mm square or Newton per meter square unit. We can take Newton per mm square here. So if we say pi d, 10 centimeter will become 100 mm square divided by 4. Can someone do the calculation and tell me what will be the answer?
1273.
Correct answer. What is that ratio of that, or stress, or are you telling stress or area?
Stress.
How much? 1000?
273.
273. Point
24.
24 Newton per mm square is the stress generated. What type of stress is this? Normal stress. You have to understand what type of stress. Force upon cross sectional area. On the other hand, here we cannot take cross sectional area. Now what we have to take? Shear area we have to take. What is shear area? So if you see this part, I will use some other color, then you will understand. I will use yellow color so that you. So here this is a skin friction. Where which part is coming under contact? This part. Okay, and if you imagine this is the screw, what you call bolt, right? This is the bolt, something like this, right? This is top view, and if I draw it in 3D, it will look like this. Okay, now if I cut this, what will happen? It will look like a rectangle. It will look like a rectangle. Okay, so this, if you can imagine here, this is the rod. How to say? This is the rod, and this is the screw. My fist is like a screw, and then I am pushing this rod. Which part is coming in contact? This, my fist. If I earlier it was like a cylinder, and if I open, it will become like a rectangle. Cylindrical part, if I open, it will become like a rectangle. So can someone tell me height of this will be 3 centimeter? Obviously 3 centimeter. Can you tell me this dimension, width of this rectangle? If I cut that screw and make it open, it will become rectangle. What will be this dimension? Can someone guess? If you don't know formula, at least word, what is that called as? What is this part? Circumference perimeter, right? This is called as perimeter. Okay, this will become a perimeter, and in the perimeter formula is pi d. Perimeter formula is pi d. So the tangential area will become as a pi d into thickness. Pi d into thickness, and then force is already known, 100 into 10 raised to 3 divided by perimeter. Pi into diameter is 10 centimeter. I can convert it into mm. multiplied by this. So the rectangle's length will become pi d and height will become 3. So 3 will become 30 mm. So now you do the calculation, tell me the answer in Newton per mm square. So are you getting the difference between the normal stress how to calculate and shear stress how to calculate? You have to understand that difference, because formula is almost similar, that is force divided by cross sectional area, but which area to take? In case of normal stress, you have to take area perpendicular to applied load. If you notice here, this one is perpendicular, this part is perpendicular, so that area. Whereas in this case, the force is coming through rod and we are taking the area along the surface. So can you tell me this answer? 100 into 10 raised to 3 divided by this. So 100,
10.61.
10 point
10.
62.
10.61.
61.
10.61032.
Okay, 032. Okay, whatever this answer comes. Is it clear? I have told you theoretically how to get the stress. Then I try to give one example, how to solve that example and understand. So let me come back to my presentation and then we can continue to the strain part. Okay, let us continue with the strain part. Okay. Now you have understood shear normal stress and shear stress. Now we will understand something called as a strain, and here what we are seeing that is called as a normal strain. Again, this, if you want to be specific, you have to ask what type of strain, then this will be normal strain. What is the definition of normal strain? Write down point. Normal strain. So first you can draw, this will be the original rod. This is the original rod whose length is, if you can't draw 3D, you can draw like a box. So if its a length is L, and if you apply uniaxial load P, it has changed its length from L to the delta amount, or sometimes I call it as a delta L also. So, or you can call it as a delta. Okay. And then what is the strain? Change in length divided by original length. Change in length divided by original length. And this is for the, what do you call it, uniaxial strain. But if you want to write the, let us write first definition of strain, general strain definition. What is definition of strain? Write down, it's a ratio of change in dimension to the original dimension. It's a ratio of change in dimension to the original dimension. Is it clear? So if someone asks you the general definition, it could be a longitudinal strain, it could be lateral strain, it could be a volumetric strain. We'll see different types of strain. But that's why fundamental definition for this strain is what? Change in dimension to the original dimension. And that's why next part you can understand, that is the normal strain. Next line you write, normal strain will become is equal, after drawing this diagram you can write epsilon is equal to del by L. That was original dimension was L, and then changed dimension is this. That means if I give one example, after this if you want to write example, if original length of rod is 1 meter and after application of rod it became 1.007 meter, 1.007 meter. Hello, is it audible? So what
Yes,
was
sir.
the,
Sir,
what was the original length? It was 1 meter, and it has changed to 1.007 meter. Okay, so can you tell me what type of load is applied?
Tensile.
Tensile. Very good. So
Tensile.
if length would have been reduced, then what kind of load will be there? It will be, we can call it as a compressive load. Now as length is changed, length is increased, it will be called as a tensile. So strain will be what? Change in dimension. How to calculate change in dimension? Change the dimension minus original dimension divided by original dimension, right? That will give you change. So how much is change? 1.007 minus 1 will be how much? 0.007 divided by 1, and the strain is nothing but 0.007. Then you may ask, sir, what is dimension of strain? Sorry, not dimension, unit of strain. So question should be, what is the unit of strain?
Unitless.
It will become
Unitless.
unitless.
Unit.
Yes.
Why unitless? Because meter divided by meter will be get cancelled and it will become unitless. Yesterday I got some complaint that students are disturbing in online classes also. I have called such video, so, and I will point out, but this we discussed direct strain. First one is, in that direct strain there will be two cases. One is from the tensile and from the compression. So you can notice here, in case of tensile, change in length will be L plus del L. So if you notice here, change in length will be L plus del L, that is the increased amount is del L. Whereas in case of compressive case, it will be L minus del L, that will be nothing but del L will be reduced amount, and that's why you can write epsilon. You can write epsilon will be change in length, and you will able to see that epsilon is equal to del L by L, and in both cases epsilon will become del L by L. So that you have to remember, whether it is tensile or whether it is compressive, strain formula will be same. Changed dimension may be changed value may be negative or positive, the formula is same. The way we do in case of stress, for compressive as well as what do you call, for tensile as well as compressive, stress formula is force upon cross sectional area. Similarly, strain formula is also same in both the cases. Okay, so let me clear. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, shear strain in this case is little different. What happens here is, shear strain is nothing but tan phi value, and if this phi is very small, as phi is very small, it will be called as a phi only. Okay, so if you say for small value, tan phi is nothing but phi. So shear strain is nothing but tan phi. What is phi? So this angle is phi. This angle is phi. Is it clear? So this angle is used to calculate the shear strain, or you can write it as phi. Shear strain, it is a measure of angle through which body is distorted. So you can call it as the angle which gives the distortion during the action of shear force, and that is so. And if you want to understand a example, physical example is given. When a bolt is turned by a spanner, the material of the bolt is in a state of shear strain. So if you have this thing, bolt maybe fixed one side somewhere, let's say, or attached in the screw, if you rotate it, the amount of angle rotation will give you the indication of amount of rotation angle will give you the indication of this shear strain. Okay, so let us go to the next part. Okay, so just now what example I had taken, the collar example, so same example is here, so we can skip that. So now let us start various properties, structural properties, very important properties, and we can write the definition also. But before that, I hope you have copied this. I can give you time, so please copy this diagram and write the definition, what is meant by shear strain. Write down the point. I forgot, I am also new to this kind of teaching, so please quickly draw this diagram and write down the shear strain definition. Please don't listen it like a kirtan. Here we have to remember for longer time, so it is important, essential that you write whatever is written in the slide or what I scribble. As much as possible you can write, make some kind of study room itself. So I will dictate for you. Shear strain is a measure of angle through which a body is distorted under the action of shear force. Okay, this example we have already taken. So let us go to this properties. So next half an hour we will focus on these properties slowly, and we will understand. First very important property of the material is called as elasticity. Write down elasticity. So what is elasticity? Elasticity is a property. Elasticity is a property by virtue of which, a deformed body, a deformed body under the action of, load regains its original shape, once loads are removed. Okay, so what is point here? Like, you should ask, sir, what is opposite to elasticity? Can someone help me if you have studied in physics? What is opposite to elasticity? If body is not elastic, then what?
Plasticity.
Plastic. Okay, that's the next level. uh, Before that also it may go in plastic, that's a higher level. It passes through elastic limit, then it goes to plastic. But before that, if it is not plastic, elastic.
Rigid.
Very good. Who has given answer? I have not checked. Okay, Harshvardhan. Rigid. What is mean by rigid? If there is a no deformation, at all, then it is called as a rigid. Then can we here little bit philosophically we will say, like whether really any body will be rigid, or whether just we'll have 1 minute discussion whether really a body will be inelastic. So you can say sometimes it depends on the your amount of load. So for example, if you want to understand, so I give very funny example, that is, I say, if you hit your head to a wall, so you will understand the meaning of rigid body and elastic body. So if you hit your head to the wall, which part will get deformed? Your head part or wall part will get deformed? Which part will get deformed? I don't know, it depends again person to person, but in my case my head part will get deformed or my body part will get deformed if I punch it. Let me start camera so that we can enjoy these visuals also, right? So if I say, if I hit, let's say, forget about head, if I punch my hand on the wall, So my skin part will get deformed. So that part of the body is called as a elastic body, because deformation is taking place. So but wall is not getting deformed. So when there is a zero deformation, that structure is called as a rigid. But in reality, do you think wall don't deform? Here what is happening, my force is not sufficient. If I use hammer, now which part will become rigid part? Hammer part will be rigid part, whereas wall is getting deformed, wall surface is getting deformed, then that part, in that case your wall will become elastic body, whereas hammer part will become a rigid body. So if you want to understand at higher level, when something has to deform, especially in our initial stages, when you will go to the higher PG or advanced studies, there may be interaction of both the bodies elastic, flexible. So if I draw it here, so in our elasticity problems right now, when we are studying one part which is coming in contact of other part, or one body which is coming in the contact of other body, one of the body is a rigid body, you have to remember. So usually the body which is applying force is called as a rigid body, or the body which is holding other side, that is again a rigid body. The body of interest, when we do analysis, body of our interest is called as a elastic body. What is happening, if I apply load on this cable, even though my hand surface is getting deformed, I am not interested, because I'm interested in understanding how much my table is getting deformed. So in these analysis, what are we doing is, we are assuming one part of the body as a rigid and another part of the body as a elastic. But sometimes in mechanical engineering, and also rarely in civil engineering, there people study the contact phenomena. So contact phenomena, where both the bodies are going under deformation, both the bodies are going under deformation, such problems are also studying. But you have to understand, in our study we are limiting that one body is going in the deformation and another body is rigid. The body which is applying load is a rigid, body which is holding that elastic body is also rigid. So for example, this is a material, I am applying force P, right? And this body is at rest. So which part is rigid? This part is rigid. Okay. This force applying part is also rigid, right? But this body is under, is elastic. What is my mean by elastic? When I apply load, the body is changing its a dimension. Body is changing its a dimension, right? And what happens if I remove load? If I remove load, body regains its original shape. Body regains its original shape. So if I apply load, so body is getting deformed, something like this. And if I remove load, body gets its original shape. That property is called as elasticity. That property is called as elasticity. Please write down this definition. And if you want to draw these quickly diagrams, you can write down. Elasticity is the property by virtue of which a deformed body under the action of load regains its original shape once the load is removed. And I will insist, I will not expect, but I will insist everyone that you must start. फर्स्ट ईयर मध्ये थोडं मराठीत सांगा, थोड़ा इसमें हिंदी में बताओ ना सर, मैं हिंदी में याद रखूंगी, मैं मराठी में याद रखूंगी. So that will not help you for improvement. So you remember definitions and concepts in English and as it is, because each and every word has got its importance. If you ignore one of the word, the definition will go wrong. So again, I am repeating, property by which a deformed body under the action of load regains its original shape, or is once the load is removed, is called as elasticity. Next, we'll go to the next property. That property is called as homogeneity. What is mean by homogeneity? So write down definition and we will understand in detail. Write down homogeneity. Same composition throughout the body. Same composition throughout the body. Elastic properties are same at every point. So please understand, elastic properties are same, or you can even say properties. Right now we are interested in elastic properties, so we are saying elastic properties. Otherwise, uh, property, we can say property. For example, if you take a, sugar cane, sugar basket, sugar bag, and if you say, let me test the top part of sugar, wow, sweet. If I take middle part of sugar, yes, very good. The bottom part is not that sweet as compared to the top part. Then that body is not a homogeneous. Are you getting it, what I am trying to say? और थोड़ा ऊपर का शुगर सर खट्टा है, बीच वाला जो शुगर है थोड़ा मीठा है, नीचे वाला जो शुगर है कड़वा है. ऐसे अगर हमें पता चला टेस्ट का, तो then that material is not homogeneous at all. But top part will have same sweetness, middle part has got same sweetness. Means any of the particle, if I choose, should have same property, then that material or that body is called as a homogeneous body. So in case of elastic properties need not be same in all the direction. Here please understand the importance. This homogeneity is not related to direction, but it is related to location. All the locations these properties are same, then we say the body is homogeneous. I hope you have written this part. Let's go to the next property, that is called as isotropy. Write down isotropy. Elastic properties are same in all the direction. Elastic properties are same in all the direction. Right now you have not studied what are the elastic properties, but for you I will tell you some Young's modulus is there and some Poisson's ratio as far as the isotropic material is considered. So what is mean by that? Whichever, suppose if I take a block here, whichever direction, if I say take this direction, if I 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 take this direction, or any tangential direction, any of the infinite number of directions are there, whichever direction I take the value of Young's modulus or Poisson's ratio, that properties are same in all directions. So then it is called as isotropy. So if you ask me, sir, what is the difference between homogeneity and what is difference between isotropy? Homogeneity is related to location. So if I say here, it's the same, then it is called as homogeneous. So if I say here, every part, if it is the same, it is a homogeneous. And if I say every direction it is same, then it is called as isotropy. So please remember, for isotropy, the all directions same value, and here you can say every point of the body is the important keyword. That doesn't mean you should forget other points. Okay, let us go to the next definition. Write down anisotropy. Opposite of isotropy is anisotropy. Elastic properties are different in various direction. Elastic properties are different in various direction. Then such material is called as anisotropy. So if you want to understand which material is isotropic and which material is anisotropic, so for you, all the metals, maybe iron, aluminum, gold, whatever metal you take, metal will have isotropy. Metals will have isotropy in all the direction. Properties are same. Properties are same. So anisotropy example is maybe your wood material. What happens along the fiber material is stronger, okay, whereas perpendicular to fiber, or you can take composites. Composite is simplified version of anisotropic. What is composite material? If you see one of the example of composite is RCC. If you are interested in civil engineering example, if you say RCC, overall if you take a beam as a property, the strength of beam in this direction is more as compared to strength in this direction. If you pull that beam in this direction, I'm talking not talking right now about bending, I'm talking about axial property. The along the steel fiber, if I pull, that beam will be very strong, whereas if I pull perpendicular direction, it will not have that high strength. So that's why it's a isotropy and anisotropy. Example for isotropy material is all the metals you take, may it be iron, may it be aluminum, whatever. And then anisotropy is wood is the best example. So let me go to next slide. We have covered the uh, all the properties. Now very important part we are studying, it is called as a Hooke's law. We will study it slowly. Uh, so it is the name of scientist. Write down Hooke's law. Hooke's law. Next point you write, stress and strains are related by, instead of constitutive law you can say Hooke's law. Stress and strains are related by Hooke's law. Stress and strains are related by Hooke's law. Full stop. Next line. The linear elastic relation between stress and strain is known as Hooke's law, is known as Hooke's law. Or next line you write, within the limit of proportionality. What is the definition of Hooke's law? Within the limit of proportionality, stress is directly proportionate with strain. Stress is directly proportionate with strain. That is called as a Hooke's law. That is called as a Hooke's law. So you can note this sigma is proportionate with epsilon. Sigma is proportionate with epsilon. And then next line you write sigma equals to E into epsilon. Sigma is equal to E into epsilon. Now what is input here? Strain. What is output here? Stress. And this E is called as a Young's modulus. Is called as a Young's modulus. And then you can see here for different material, the plots are shown here. Strain versus stress plot. Strain versus stress plot is there. And slope of this line, it's like a line equation. Do you remember line equation? Y is equal to mx plus c. And when c is 0, what is meaning of c is 0? Who will tell me c is 0? Then line passes through origin. Line passes through origin. And that's why equation becomes mx, and in this y is nothing but sigma. Y is nothing but sigma. And then m is nothing but E, and x is nothing but epsilon. And that's why slope of each line is nothing but Young's modulus. And you can see, you can remember these trends also if you want for competitive exam. Fortunately, we have this graph. Usually I don't teach, but I have this slide, so through this I got it. So you can see whose Young's modulus is highest in this case. Steel is highest, whereas lower is biological tissues, our body tissues. Young's modulus is somewhere around 10 raised to 5 Pascal, whereas steel Young's modulus is somewhere around 10 raised to 11 Pascal. Then comes plastic, then comes rubber, and then the tissues. Tissues has got the softer material, so as compared to steel, and that's how it. But in all the cases, we can draw the stress versus. Then how to plot these plots? So you will see when you will resume the classes, you have to conduct the experiment we will also discuss about that in the next few slides. So you have to, there is a machine called as a UTM, universal testing machine. This part is fixed, and there is a jaw where this steel rod is fixed. This will pull in this direction by P, and then what will happen is elongation will start. So this part is fixed, so this side also P, and then rod will start elongating. Rod will start elongating, and then what will happen, because of this P, there is a change in dimension, and what you will measure is change in dimension. Okay, you will measure with, for various forces, you measure the change in dimension. So those change in dimension, if you multiply by original dimension, you will get strain. And how to get stress? Applied force on what cross sectional area it is applied. You know what cross sectional area. So if your circular rod is up 16 mm, okay, so you can calculate stress is equal to pi d square, that is 16 square divided by 4, and from that you get the stress. So that way, for various forces, if you plot these combinations, you will able to get the straight line. When it gets a straight line within the limit of proportionality. कहाँ तक आता है ये straight line? Within the limit of proportionality, and that's where you can write sigma is equal to E into epsilon. Sigma is equal to E into epsilon. So write down Young's modulus or elastic constant. Next line you write down Young's modulus or elastic constant. Elastic constant, Young's modulus. Y-O-U-N-G-S, Young's modulus. So what is Young's modulus? E is equal to, what will happen? Sigma by epsilon. Sigma by epsilon. Write down sigma by epsilon. So what is sigma? You can say normal stress divided by normal strain. What is sigma? It is normal stress divided by normal strain. So what are different types of normal stresses? One is, you may write it as a maybe tensile stress divided by tensile strain, or other type of normal stress, compressive. You can also write compressive stress divided by compressive. Whether shear stress will come in this definition? No. Please be careful. While calculating Young's modulus, it is ratio of, write down if you want to write down. Young's modulus is the ratio of normal stress to normal strain, or you can write tensile stress to tensile strain, or compressive strain to compressive stress. I hope you have written. Then you may ask, sir, what is the unit of Young's modulus? What is the unit of Young's modulus? It's the same unit of the stress only. Why same unit of stress is coming? Who will tell me? Why same?
Strain is unitless quantity.
Very good. So stress is unitless quantity. So the unit was of the stress was Pascal divided by unitless quantity. It will come as a Pascal. Or if you take the unit of stress as a Newton per meter square, or you can take the unit of that as a Newton per mm square, etc. Is it clear? Is it clear? So I hope I have made this point clear. Now, next line you write shear modulus. Write down shear modulus. Write down shear modulus in bracket G or C. You can call it as a shear modulus is G or C. You should be compatible with both the definition. Sometimes in the exam, they write C for MCQ, or sometimes they write G. So you should be clear. So what is G? It is nothing but similar constant definition. What is that? Shear stress divided by shear strain. Write down shear stress divided by shear strain. Shear stress divided by shear strain is the definition. So what is the definition of shear modulus or modulus of rigidity? Write down properly. Shear modulus or modulus of rigidity, that is G or C. It is the, I will write also so that I will understand speed. It is the ratio of shear stress to the shear strain. It is the ratio of shear stress to the shear strain. Okay, so you can write it as a G. How you can write? Tau is equal to G into gamma. If you want to write relation, the way you have here for the normal stress, sigma is equal to E epsilon. Similar to that, for the shear case, what you can write? This is tau is nothing but shear stress, and gamma is nothing but shear strain. Gamma is nothing but shear strain. Our time is getting over. So quickly answer me how to measure the shear strain. Quickly, let us see if you remember what we taught today. Will you answer? How you measure, what is the measure of shear strain?
Of
Sir,